So you're going to strum with your right hand, right? And yep.
Wow, this is loud for a cardboard box. Huh?
It's a sound box, you know. So the sweet spot's right around where you're strumming. So, and you got fret 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's as high as you're going to go. So just strum across the strings. Okay. So I'm going to throw out numbers, and that's the fret that you're going to press or not press. If I say 0, you're not going to press anything. Yep. So on the melody, so 0, 0, 4, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0. 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. 0, 0, 4, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0.
I just played Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
That's what...
And Baba Black Sheep.
Yes,
and ABC.
Yes. But that's what... I mean... The workshops, people come to the workshops, they've never played an instrument before in their lives. And some of these people are like in their 70s. They are beside themselves.
That is incredible.
Hey there, welcome to Table to Stage, kicking off this week with a little bit of an impromptu dulcimer lesson from today's guest, Carolyn Brodginski. Carolyn plays the mountain dulcimer in the band Seat of Our Pants. Now, they play their mix of original and classic Americana music at venues throughout Connecticut. Carolyn is also a music therapist, so she plays the dulcimer for patients and families while they're in the hospital, letting the soothing quality of the music kind of do its thing. Now, we sat on her front porch enjoying a beautiful summer day, surrounded by music from her dulcimer and from the birds that seem to be enjoying the day too. And I've been dabbling with the guitar on and off most of my life, so I probably shouldn't have been surprised by the dulcimer, but it was a genuine joy to play it. Now, as always, I hope that you'll leave a rating and a review of Table to Stage on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, leaving a few stars or words of encouragement on those platforms really makes it easier for others to find the show and helps to bring these artists and personalities to more people. Okay, let's head over to Carolyn's front porch and fill the day with some mountain dulcimer.
Born and raised in Connecticut. I lived my first 4 years in West Haven.
Okay.
I write it from the Long Island Sound.
All right. And what was your first experience like as a child? Like, how were you introduced to music? Was it something that was just sort of pervasive in your life, or was it something you sought out specifically?
It was. I come from a musical family. Mm-hmm. My mother played the piano, and we had a piano from the time I was very young. But it was my grandfather, Rocco, who played the mandolin. He came from Italy.
Oh, the mandolin.
Yes, he played the mandolin. And he had probably just about a second grade education. But he could play that thing, and he played by ear.
Wow.
And I'm one of my biggest regrets is I have no recordings of him playing. But he gave us our first guitar when I was 10.
Yeah, that's how old I was when I got my first guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good age to start.
It only took 30 years for me to get back to it. And what was it about the mandolin or the guitar that was interesting and it drew you into it?
I loved to sing when I was in 3rd grade, so before we got the guitar. I don't know how my mother knew. I mean, she's my mother, so I guess I would sing around the house or something. So there was a variety show at our church, and she said, "Carolyn, you're going to do a solo." So that was my first musical experience.
First time?
Yes, first musical experience. And when the guitar came along, my sister played piano, and she sang as well. She found, she was 4 years older than me, she found chord charts.
Yeah.
And she said, here's a G, here's a D, here's an A, that's all you need. So
those things make the instrument so accessible.
Yes. So I have no formal training on the guitar.
None at all?
No, it was all chord charts.
Wow.
But I wanted to play because I wanted to be able to accompany myself singing.
Yeah.
You know, she could play piano for me and I could sing, but I wanted to do it myself. And I liked the music that I could play on the guitar. I liked Peter, Paul, and Mary. I liked John Denver.
Yeah, yeah.
All that music. James Taylor, Joan Baez. I could do it. Yes,
era,
yes, yes. So, and once I started, I never stopped playing.
Yeah. Did you notice at that age, at that time, the impact that music was having on you personally, or was that something that you had to reflect on later?
My parents were really big at, they loved to show us off. So people would come to the house.
Parents love
I know. And I hated it. People would come to the house, Care, play Eagle and the Hawk. And it's like performing for their guests and family members. But I also performed for my peers at school. So the music teachers and the administration, especially once I hit junior high school, realized they could use me to deliver messages, to perform.
Okay.
I performed in, you know, talent shows and that type of stuff, but, you know, a school assembly with a slideshow. And
Now, were you accompanying yourself for these performances?
yes, I was playing guitar, yeah. So it made me, I don't know if I needed any help, but it made me more outgoing. It made me confident that I could get up there and do it. Mm-hmm. You know, versus, you know, sitting in the seats and watching someone else do it.
Yeah. Was that something that you struggled with before that? Or?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I started so young. I mean, my first solo was in third grade. Like I said, I was in choirs. I was in musicals. And, you know, I was always performing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm a junkie.
So did that continue throughout your young life and into adulthood? Did you ever take a break from it?
I did take a break. I continued through high school, same things at high school, same opportunities. When I was in college, I formed a band with two of my girlfriends.
Everybody forms a band in college.
I know. And we played at a few places, and it was 3 female voices, and we all did harmonies, and we had a lot of fun.
What kind of music was that?
It was Jonathan Edwards. I would say, I don't know if the tag Americana was around back then, but that's what it was. And we wrote a little bit. Debbie, who was one of the members of the band, my friend Debbie, she wrote more. I wrote a couple of songs. Okay. So Aztec two-step, you know, just guitar music, and Linda Ronstadt. Okay. So that type of music.
Yeah.
And I continued that until I had kids.
I can see how that might interrupt.
Yeah, and in one way, I should have been doing it all the more to play for them, and I did. Mm-hmm. I did. I always sang to them. My daughter's very musical, and she went to the Greater Hartford Academy of the Arts, so you know, she kind of picked up on that. But working full time, having 2 kids, I was a little overwhelmed. Yeah. A little overwhelmed.
I remember when my kids were born, I had not been performing or doing anything for a long time. And when they got to be, I think my youngest were probably 3 or so, they were old enough to be interested in music. Mm-hmm. And I just kept hearing the stuff that, you know, my daughter would want to listen to, the pop music, the kids bop stuff. And I thought it'd be great if they could hear an actual instrument. Yeah. So my kids sort of inspired me to pick up the guitar again and get back into music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that funny?
But it is very difficult to find the time to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So when did you discover that time again? When did you get back to what you had loved to do?
I got divorced. And we shared custody. So the kids were with me some, and they were with them some. So I started having more time. And I started playing guitar in a choir at my church. Then Higher Grounds opened in East Hampton. This was before you lived there. It was 70 Main.
Yep.
And they had an open mic, and I'd always wanted to play at an open mic. So I went, and my husband, my second husband, who I'm married to now, we were dating then, and he played the harmonica, and he wanted to play the guitar, but it was a good pairing, the guitar and the harmonica. So he wanted to try getting up there on the stage. So we'd go back and we'd do a little bit more. And then a friend of ours whose son was in the same grade as my son was in a band. He was a percussionist. And he and I had similar singing backgrounds. We used to do madrigal singing, so we could do a lot of harmonies.
Yep.
And he heard about what we were doing, and he wanted to get together. So we, and he lives here in Marlborough, so it was easy. So we practiced a couple times, and we went to the open mic that Friday night, and that's how Seat of Our Pants started, my band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was just sort of a chancing, like, meeting of people at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a minute about the band, since you brought it up.
Yeah.
So, Soup.
Yes.
Right? S-O-O-P.
Yes.
You're playing dulcimer in this band, and guitar a little bit, right?
And mandolin and ukulele.
Okay, so everything with a string.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So what kind of music are you playing? I mean, you mentioned Americana.
Yeah.
How did you integrate all these different instruments? And
we
come up
struggled.
with
We struggled with what to call our genre. And we've just settled on Americana.
Yeah. It's a good catch-all.
It is a good catch-all. We're not bluegrass.
Right.
We're folky. You know, we write more and more of our own stuff. So my husband started playing the bass. Okay. So we got that nice bottom end. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, you know, he still plays the harmonica. I was mostly playing guitar. When the band started, I wasn't really playing the dulcimer yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark plays, he's a percussionist. The other band he's in, he has a full drum kit. With our band, he uses a cajon, which is one of those box, you know.
I love the cajon.
It's a great
sound to
oh boy, it's great. And he has attachments on it. So it sounds, when we play, people are like, where's the drum set? Mm-hmm. He's sitting on it, you know. Yeah. It's really cool. So, you know, we started doing lots of covers, and there were some originals in there. Our first CD had seven originals, some that I'd written when I was 19, 20.
Oh, wow.
A couple of them. And our second CD had more, and had some songs that my husband Jeff wrote, Mark wrote, and I wrote. And then our latest CD, it's all originals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind, like, if somebody had to choose another band or artist to say, here's something to, even if we don't sound this way, but to be familiar with that style of music, is there something you can point to for just as a familiarity, or is it really just something that's not generally available?
There's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people out there doing the type of music that we do.
What makes you not bluegrass and more solidly in Americana style?
The variety of the sounds.
Okay.
I mean, bluegrass, and not to put down bluegrass, but it has a specific formula. Mm-hmm. Every song. They're really have, you know.
Well, they're banjo heavy.
They're banjo heavy. Yeah. Traditionally, they don't have, there's no percussion in bluegrass. There's no dulcimer in bluegrass, even though it came from West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky. They're like, technically it's not a bluegrass instrument. We were invited to play at Podunk Bluegrass Festival last summer on the showcase stage, which was Americana. Okay. Not the big stage, which was hardcore bluegrass. And I did play this, though.
Yeah.
When I told them, I said, I played the dulcimer, I said, well, it's really not a bluegrass instrument. Like, They didn't care.
Hey, you asked us to be.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So, I mean, the songs that we write and the songs that we cover, everything from blues. We play Low Rider by War. We cover Black Magic Woman.
Okay.
And our fiddle player does this amazing lead on it that's just nothing like what Carlos Santana does.
Yeah.
And it's just, we just like to take music that's already written or our own and just do cool things with it and just put our own musical stamp on it.
Yeah.
And that's a huge variety.
Yeah, I'll bet. So, I mean, the dulcimer is not a bluegrass instrument.
Right.
What kind of instrument is it? It's because it's not something people are generally familiar with. I mean,
no.
I hear the word quite often when people
Yep.
are talking about different kinds of music. What is it? Where did it come from? What's it used for? What's the sound?
Okay.
How did you get so involved with it?
All right. So how did I get so involved with it? We'll start there. When I was 19, a friend of mine suggested I go to a concert at a place called the Sounding Board, which is in West Hartford. It's been in multiple church basements over the years, 40 plus years. And they get big names in the folk genre.
Okay.
And there was this woman playing there. Her name was Sally Rogers, and she was from Michigan. And she played this instrument called the mountain dulcimer. And so I went and I just fell in love with the instrument. It was just beautiful. I said, I got to play that thing. So she finished the concert. She continued on her tour and went back to Michigan. Mm-hmm. And there was no internet back then. So try to find, a dulcimer, another dulcimer player, how to buy one, where to buy one. Nothing. I did order a kit, and I made one from a kit.
Oh, really?
And it came with a booklet about tuning it and playing it. There were like all these different ways to tune it, and none of it made sense to me. I knew the guitar, and this 3 or 4 stringed instrument just made no sense to me.
The kit, is it like a cigar box guitar kind of kit?
It was not. It was wood. It was all cut out. You glued it together. Put it together.
Like from the back of a catalog magazine of some kind?
I don't remember where I found it,
Okay.
but I still have it upstairs.
You still have the instrument?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I still have it.
Okay.
So I just struggled with it. It's different from a guitar. It's not fretted the same. So
I can see the frets are very oddly spaced.
they're irregularly spaced. So I'm going to get into little technical music terms. Chromatic versus diatonic. Mm-hmm. Chromatic means every fret you go up on a guitar, on a banjo, on a ukulele, on a mandolin, it's a half step musically.
Right.
On a piano's chromatic. Every key, the next step you go to, whether it be a white key that's right next to it, or if you go up to the black key that's in between, if there's in between, that's a half step musically. Diatonic means it doesn't have all those notes. A harmonica is diatonic.
Yeah.
It's based on a scale. So you have whole steps and half steps. So what's happening with the dulcimer is little by little people are adding more frets to give you more musical options. Some people are making these fully chromatic, which I tried one and I hated it.
Yeah, okay.
But
this is like extending the fretboard?
It's just adding
more?
frets. There was no 1.5 fret originally and no 6.5. So when you went up,
The half fret is
half fret.
It's such a strange thing to hear.
So this is what it sounded like. So it's a scale. And when you do that on the guitar, I mean, I could do it easily on the piano because I played piano for a little bit, but I could never wrap my head around the scales on the guitar.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of hunt and peck, because I can play by ear.
Right.
And I play guitar well, but I can't play leads like a big, solo or anything. I finger pick, I strum. Mm-hmm. But I could never play these beautiful melodies on the guitar. And I finally found a group of people 8 years ago in Colchester, Connecticut that got together monthly and played this instrument.
A group of people.
A group of people.
In Colchester.
Colchester, Connecticut, at the Cragen Library.
Such an odd place to find a group of people playing such a rare instrument.
Well, it's not as rare as you think. It's not as rare as you think. It's just kind of under the radar for some reason. And when I to jump ahead a little bit, I play this at the hospital, therapeutically at St. Francis Hospital, and I walk around with the instrument strapped to me. And
I'm sure no one asks questions.
Oh my gosh. I go 10 steps. What is that? People have guessed crazy things. Things you would expect. Is it a lute? Is it a ukulele? Is it some weird guitar? Is it a sitar?
Sure.
The two most bizarre guesses was glockenspiel and oboe. Like, really? Do you know anything about music? So, yeah.
There's no read on this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Glockenspiel, is that bells or something? I don't even know what a glockenspiel is.
Something like that.
So now I lost track. Where are we going with this question? So that's how I heard about it. I would pick this instrument up that I'd made all those years ago. I'd pick it up and I'd try to play, and it didn't make any sense to me because I didn't know how to tune it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was having kids and I wasn't doing anything musically. When I started playing at Higher Grounds, the gentleman that ran the open mic there, his name was Robert Barthel. And I ran into him at Stop and Shop and I started telling him about my dulcimer. He says, I got one of those, and he got me, just this conversation I had with him got me interested in playing the instrument again. And it was probably just a few months later, there was something on the front of those weekly local papers.
Oh, the River East?
Yes,
Yeah.
about a group that got together in Colchester that played monthly. So I'm like, I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
So I went, and they're like, well, this is how we tune. And this is tablature, and that's all I needed. I spent some time with a friend who I met there. Just, learning some techniques, and then I just ran with it.
Wow. So what's it like transitioning from a guitar or a mandolin or a ukulele, which are all, they're very different, but they're all similar in the sense that they have the same fretting for the most part.
Yeah.
They're played in the same physical manner.
Yes.
And the dulcimer, this thing's laying on your lap right now.
Yeah.
So this is a very different playing experience.
Yeah,
right?
but it's different. All those instruments you mentioned, you strum them and you finger pick them. You strum this with your finger or with a pick, or you finger pick.
So it is the same basic concept as a guitar.
Yes, it is. The thing about all those other instruments you mentioned, they're all tuned differently.
Yes.
So when you play a D on the guitar, it's different on the uke, and it's different on the mandolin, and it's different on the dulcimer.
Right.
So I have no idea how I can keep that in my head. And when I pick up the mandolin, I put my mandolin brain in my head.
Yeah.
And this is a D. I forget about the other Ds, So
Are
it
you
really
able to switch between them, from one song to the
Yes,
next?
yeah. We played yesterday. The band played yesterday. I played guitar, ukulele, and dulcimer.
Yeah.
So, I'm a music junkie. My name's Carolyn, and I'm a music junkie. But, so playing it on your lap, that wasn't hard.
No,
that
really?
wasn't hard. Transition was really easy, and it just, what one person says is, with the dulcimer, they threw out all the bad notes, meaning it's a major scale. You can just sit here and noodle. Anybody can. And this is open tuned. This is tuned to a D. These drone, right? And it just sounds beautiful. I'm just goofing around.
Yeah.
So it's so easy
That's
to play.
fascinating.
It's so easy to play.
Wow.
So switch to the origins of the instrument.
Yeah.
So
You said from West Virginia.
it's Appalachia.
Okay.
So 300 years ago or so, the Scots and Irish who came to this country were on their way down to Appalachia. I don't know why they were going there. But that's where they were going to settle. And they came through Pennsylvania, and they came across the Germans that were playing an instrument called a scheitolt.
Okay.
And the scheitolt it was diatonic as well. It had a drone. The strings, it was different from this instrument. The strings the fretboard was flat on the instrument. It didn't have this shape. It had more strings. What they liked about it was the drone. Mm-hmm. It reminded them of the bagpipes.
Okay, I can see that.
So when they settled in Appalachia, they created something that suited their music, that they could make with the materials available to them. There was plenty of wood there. Mm-hmm. I think wire was scarce, so they reduced the number of strings. That's what I had heard. They raised up the fretboard.
Was it always a wire-stringed instrument? It didn't start with, like, I know guitar strings started as...
Oh, no, I think it was always wire.
Okay.
Catgut.
Yeah, right.
I think it was all wire. But one great thing they did was they made the sound box bigger. And when the sound box is bigger, there's more sound. Mm-hmm. So, and then they made the different shapes. And depending on, so Appalachia is West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee. And it's funny because they were all making this, and I mean, they didn't have phones back then. There was no internet, but they were all making these instruments. And depending on the region you came from, there were different shapes.
Okay.
There's this hourglass shape. Then there's this shape, which is kind of like a teardrop. Mm-hmm. Then there's a galax. That was from West Virginia, I think. So there's different takes on them based on where you lived.
And is there a sound difference?
Nope.
Tone difference?
Nope. Other than it being tuned differently.
Yeah. Oh, they are tuned differently.
Well, the galax was tuned differently, and they tuned to DAA, and there's different tunings. There's called modes, which I never even like to talk about, but Ionian, and it's different tuning, and it gives it a different sound, a different feel.
Okay.
So,
which one do you find yourself drawn to most? Is it
DAD.
Yeah.
DAD, CGC, which is just a step down from DAD. It suits my voice if I want to sing with it.
Okay.
Or DAA or CGG.
Now, I noticed looking at these instruments.
Yes.
There are 4 tuning pegs.
Yes. Yep.
This one has 3 strings on it.
Yes.
So, but the other one
has
4 strings on it.
Yes.
And the same 4 tuning pegs.
Yes.
So what is the difference or the reason behind this?
The original design, this is the melody string, this first string closest to you, and they would just play the melody on the melody string. They didn't play across the strings. It was doubled. Probably
2 strings.
It was doubled, and they're both tuned to the same thing. Probably so the melody would stand out. Mm-hmm. So if you were playing, you're just playing on that melody string. Okay. So a lot of people started taking the melody string off, that second melody string. And when I first started playing, the first thing my friend did was she pulled it right off. And the way I play, I just like when I'm finger picking, I just like that sound of just one string. I just like it. Another thing you could do with 4 strings, and what I did on this is I don't double the melody string. They're 4 equidistant strings.
Yes.
So, and you could tune them to 4 different notes. So this is DAD. So it's just 2 notes of the D chord. I don't want to get too musical here. You could have another note in the D chord, and it just has a beautiful ringing when you play it. I just got brave enough to add the 4th string to that dulcimer.
Okay.
So,
but it doesn't change the way you play the instrument.
No, other than there's extra string in there, and if you're finger picking, you got to think about it.
Right.
But strumming, no.
Yeah. No,
if it's tuned differently, your chord formations and stuff are going to be a little different. But I keep them pretty much tuned similarly.
Okay.
So
it's funny because, like I said before, it's an instrument that I think of as being kind of rare and something that people don't play very often. And I wasn't sure if I had ever heard one, but then I know the sound. I've heard this sound all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you started playing it, did you start recognizing it in music that you had heard before?
Well, yeah. Recently, or probably about a year ago, there's a Rolling Stones song that I always thought the intro was a guitar. My Sweet Lady Jane.
Oh, yeah.
There's Brian Jones playing a mountain dulcimer in like 1960 something.
Wow.
Look at those hands, they're baby's hands, dimpled and fat like a pillow. May they grow up to be strong as an oak and graceful as a willow.
So other people play. I mean, Joni Mitchell, her Blue album, it's all dulcimer.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to go back and listen to that one. I
Yeah,
haven't heard that in a long time.
And the thing was, Joni Mitchell, like, I enjoyed her, I appreciated her, but she wasn't one of my musical influences because I didn't sing like her.
Oh, okay.
Her voice was so different. I was more like the Joan Baez, Linda Ronstadt. But now that I play the dulcimer, I adopting some of her. I do some of her songs, and I sing some of her songs are just really hard. Her style is just difficult.
Yeah, I try to play Urge for Going all the time, and I can't get anywhere with it.
I could teach you.
I've been trying to teach myself for 3 years.
We cover that with the band.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
love that song.
My mother would love to hear that, I'm sure. I can't escape Joni Mitchell. That's my mom's favorite.
Oh, well, she was a big dulcimer player. Cyndi Lauper plays a dulcimer.
I didn't know that.
Aerosmith, their Pump album, and I heard this from a nurse's aide that I was talking to at the hospital. He said, did you ever hear Dulcimer Stomp by Aerosmith? I'm like, really? And so I went home, I Googled it, and there it was.
Really?
None of them are playing the dulcimer. They brought in a dulcimer player.
Oh, okay.
But it's a lead into one of their more popular songs, but I've never heard it before.
Oh, that's funny.
So, musicians are aware of it, and they play it and they appreciate it. But it's just under the radar, and that's okay with me because I think it makes it kind of special.
Yeah.
It really does.
It definitely stands out.
Yeah.
Now, what is the difference between the dulcimer that you're playing and the hammered
Yes,
dulcimer?
that was going to be my next thing.
Okay.
Yes. So here's my joke that I always say. After 2 martinis, I'm a hammered dulcimer player. How's that? So, the hammered dulcimer goes back 6,000 years.
I'm sorry, say that again?
At least. And its origins are from, I think, the Middle East or the Far East.
Yeah, well, going back that far, you'd have to be from there, yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's a whole different instrument. The word dulcimer. The word dulcimer, dulci-more, sweet song. And they both have an equally sweet sound.
Now, if it goes back that far from that part of the world, is there a connection to the sitar? That's because being a Middle Eastern string instrument.
Possible. The difference is you play the hammered dulcimer with hammers.
Yeah.
I mean, not like hammers.
But is it the same instrument? It's a lap instrument?
No,
string?
you put it on, you have a frame for it.
Okay.
Imagine taking the guts of a piano and putting it on a 5 sides.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah. 70 strings.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're very different instruments.
Yeah.
So
but beautiful.
But the naming is almost incidental at that point, right?
Yeah. It's hammered dulcimer, mountain dulcimer.
Okay.
And a lot of people have heard of the hammered dulcimer, and that's what they say. Well, why aren't you playing it with hammers? I'm like, it's not a hammered dulcimer.
Right.
There's another therapeutic musician at the hospital that plays the hammered dulcimer. So they have both dulcimers there.
All right.
But it's just beautiful. It's just as beautiful as this.
Yeah.
Beautiful sound, but it's got a lot of strings.
Very, very
I would not want to tune that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to hire somebody to tune the piano. I imagine it's got to be the same.
No. The other musician, Mike, he stands out. He's there with his little tool there tuning it. I go, bing, 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 done.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow. Okay, so you've mentioned a couple times therapeutic music.
Yes.
So I know you play at the hospital. What's your goal with using the music at the hospital?
Okay. So I am a therapeutic musician. I'm a CMP, a Certified Music Practitioner. Mm-hmm. I have a certification from the Music for Healing and Transition program. And they train musicians to play music for healing purposes. And one thing they tell us is what you do is not supposed to be goal-oriented. You're not supposed to go in there and say, my goal is to make this person better. That's not it.
Right.
Your goal is to be a healing presence. I mean, you play for people who are dying. You play for newborns. You play for people who have joint replacements, everything in between. But it's, you go in, there's this whole thing you have to go through. You focus your intention. A lot of it, that program came from a therapeutic touch certification. So it's all about being a healing presence and using music as your medium to heal.
Yeah. And what is it that, I know you're not goal oriented, you're not prescribing music or anything, but what is it that people that are receiving music as a therapy are taking away from it? What do they get from being able to not just hear the music, but be present in its creation?
Can I play?
Absolutely.
Okay. How did that make you feel?
It's very calming. It's really a beautiful sound. And is that
the word I hear most over and over is soothing.
Yeah.
So a music therapist gets a master's degree, and they are licensed counselors at LMFT. You know, they can open up a practice and be a therapist to help someone with whatever they have going on. Their bag of tricks that they could use is music.
Okay.
I'm not a trained therapist.
Yeah.
I don't have, a certification like that. Music therapists don't always use live music. They can use recorded music.
Okay.
I mean, a therapeutic musician only does live music.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So we're trained to play for different patient conditions. And you could take the same song, but based on how the patient presents, what's going on with them, you're going to play it differently. You're going to choose different songs. So, we're trained to go in, assess the patient, the situation. There could be family members, and play appropriately.
Is it largely just about creating that calm and kind of soothing environment to allow, allow the headspace or whatever it is to...
Yes. And I mean, when you are relaxed, when you sit back and you're not tense anymore.
I've heard rumors that that's a condition some people are able to achieve.
I need to play for you more. It reduces pain. It lowers your blood pressure. I mean, studies have been done that show that it can do that. And I've played for people and their blood pressure goes down. And they, and maybe there was one man I played for and he had spine surgery and he had staples in his back and he was in so much pain. And he said, it still hurts, but I just feel so much more relaxed.
Yeah.
So that's, there's stuff called vibroacoustic therapy, and definitely the vibration from the strings, it just creates this healing, soothing environment.
Yeah. Now, I know that you always use live music, but is there a qualitative difference between hitting play on the CD player and having the actual instrument and the music coming to you?
It's the vibration.
Yeah.
You're not, even the best recording equipment won't get that same vibration, that same feel. And you don't have, yes, a human being can sit there and hit play.
Right.
But it's, I don't know, I don't want to sound too trippy or anything, but you just, there's a lot of energy that goes along with it too.
I feel like there's always, even if you don't interact, it's like you go to a concert and you're being performed for, there's still a bit of an interaction. You're experiencing somebody, performing and creating music for you. I would imagine that being in the room with somebody, even if you don't know that person and can't necessarily interact with them due to whatever the medical condition is, but there's got to be some sort of sharing of space that has to be part of that, right? I mean, the vibrations, the music, and just having somebody share that space with you and share that part of themselves with you.
Yeah. I mean, I am allowed to go into rooms where people and family members are at their most vulnerable and painful times. And not everybody, some people are waiting to be discharged. They're doing okay. They've had their knee replaced and they're ready to go dancing.
Yeah.
But
if you're working with hospice patients,
I do.
Not the case.
It's not the case.
Right.
And I play for emergency room everywhere, all over the hospital. But the hospice patients, it's one thing that was drilled into us in our classes is that this is not a performance. You are not performing. It's not about you.
Right.
It's your main focus is the patient.
How does that change the way you go about playing? Because, if you're doing a concert and you're performing,
I want people to look at me.
Right.
I don't want people to look at me when I'm playing in the room.
Yeah.
I tell people, some people are non-responsive, and I just play. One of the last senses you lose is your hearing. So even if a patient is non-responsive and close to the end, still play. But for the patients that are awake and I have a conversation with them, a lot of times I'll ask them, I said, where's your favorite place to be? And most people say the beach.
Yeah.
And I say, just close your eyes and listen to the music.
Yeah.
I tell them to look out the window, and just, let the music take them.
Yeah. Do you play exclusively the dulcimer?
Yeah.
For patients?
At the hospital.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that the reaction to the instrument, in cases where they're able to react to it, is different because of the sort of the novel aspect of seeing an instrument they might not have seen before?
A lot of times it gets me in the room.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll go into a room and patient will say, I'm not interested, but what is that? And then I just do this. Oh, that's so beautiful. I said, I'd like to hear it. And I play.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody.
My kids hear that every night.
Yes, and everybody has a story with that song too.
Of course.
So I played for one of the nurses on the oncology floor. Suggested I go into a room where the patient had just passed, and his family members were there. And I'm like, what am I going to play for this? So I go in and I'm just kind of noodling around, and I don't know what possessed me, but I played very quietly and slowly. I played "You Are My Sunshine."
Yeah.
And I look down when I play, but out of the corner of my eye, I could see the patient's son put his hand out on his father's chest, and he started to cry. And when I finished, he said, "My father sang that song to my mother every night for 77 years."
Oh, boy.
That is just the best.
I mean, I know that when you're playing music in situations like that, like, personal satisfaction can't be something you're thinking about. But when you leave that room and you've helped people make connections like that, do you leave feeling some way about it?
Oh, I feel wonderful. I feel so happy that I'm able to use this gift that I was given to help people. It's what I majored in business in college, which I don't want to go there. A lot of
guidance counselors pointed people in that direction.
That was my father. I wanted to be either a social worker or a psychologist or a musician.
You get all of that now, right?
Yes. So
what a perfect blend.
It took a long time. But I got here. It's just I feel so lucky that I can give that to people, give them peace. And it's, this one nurse on the oncology floor, Leanne, she always knows where to send me. And there was another patient was close to dying, and a lot of family members in the room. She says, you need to go in this room. I had no idea what was going on. And she usually goes in, she says, I'm going to have Carolyn come in and she's going to play. So I just started to play quietly, and I left, and she said, the minute you hit that first string, she said, the energy in the room completely changed. She said, it was so toxic in that room. They were bickering with each other. And she said, this wasn't good for the patient because energy is a real thing.
Yeah.
And this person may have been dying, but it's not a good way to go with all that swirling around the room.
Right.
So she said, you completely cut that.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's really
beneficial for the family too when they leave.
Yes. You know, it made them step back and say, wait a minute, you know. So I work in through the integrative medicine department at St. Francis Hospital.
Okay.
So integrative medicine is all these alternative modalities that's used complementary with Western medicine.
Right.
So to the bedside, we bring energy, music, art, pets.
Yeah.
Journaling, some massage.
Yeah. It seems like there's, just based on what you just said just now, that bringing a creative energy into the room can be beneficial. Doesn't really matter what form it is almost. It's just the idea that even while someone is ill or dying, that there can still be creation, there can still be art and beauty in the room.
It's you need it, because even if somebody isn't dying, if somebody's in the hospital for a long time, or if they're just sick and they're going to get better, you need a distraction. You can't be focusing on the illness. Or part of my certification, my sessions are not supposed to be interactive. So I hope nobody from MHTP is listening to this. So what I've started to do, see this cardboard dulcimer here? The hospital buys these now. And when I see a patient who's inpatient for a long time or coming weekly for their infusions and are really interested in this, I said, do you want to learn how to play?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. So I said, here you go. It's yours. And I teach them how to play.
Wow.
So the coolest thing is it's getting to the point where for patients, people who are inpatient for a long time, I'll be walking down the hallway and I hear the dulcimer. They're playing. And another patient that I just taught, I was going to see her, and one of the aides came up to me and was asking about the instrument. And I had only given her 2 lessons. She said, well, she was teaching me how to play. So it does so much. And this last patient I just mentioned, she had something happen in her brain. I don't know what, because I can't read the charts.
Yeah.
But what a good tool for her, right?
Yeah.
And other things that I started to do. There was a patient, a high-risk pregnancy, and she was in for a couple of months. I brought her a journal. And she gave it back to me, and she said, you write something in it. She had every single one of her caregivers write in that journal. She says, now I'm going to write my thoughts. Yeah. But these are the things that people need. They need someone to check their blood pressure, to give them the meds. And they need that stuff, but they need the rest too.
Right.
One patient said to me that the doctors fix the mechanics and you fix everything else.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it works together.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm a little at a loss for words right now, 'cause I've had occasions to spend extended times in the hospital for people other than myself.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to have.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to have that break,
it's
a little bit of joy and
and St. Francis is a big hospital.
Yeah.
and there's only 2 of us, and we're not there full time.
Yeah.
So we can't see everybody. You know, not everybody wants it, but it really is beneficial.
Yeah.
It really does.
You know what really strikes me, partly because of this cardboard instrument that's sitting on the table here, partly because, you know, you're saying people have 2 lessons and they're able to teach somebody else a little bit about it too.
I could teach you to play this in 15 seconds.
I'm sure you could. But that's what surprises me about this instrument, because I hear dulcimer for the last 40 some odd years, and I've always thought exotic, difficult, complicated. But the accessibility of this instrument is shocking to me.
Everybody who plays this, even the best players, they don't hide. They said this is the easiest instrument on the planet to learn how to play, and it is.
Wow.
I in addition to the patients at the hospital, I do workshops at libraries, and I'm starting to do some group lessons. And so I bought a bunch of these cardboard dulcimers, so people that come to the workshops get to play. And they are playing.
Wow.
Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in no time at all.
I mean, that's not a complicated song.
Okay, here. It's just a matter of knowing what to do. I explain tablature, and it's really easy.
I mean, it's a fretboard and a sound box. Is really all there is to it.
Yep.
That's really amazing to me.
Yeah, it's really easy.
That's great. I have to add it to my collection now. Like, got everything else. Add a dulcimer. And figure out time to learn that one now.
It won't take long.
I started ukulele. How am I going to fit this
This is
in?
easier. Everybody thinks, oh, the uke, it's so small, it's so cute, it must be easy. This is easier.
I just love the sound of it.
Yes, it's sweet. I just think of Tiny Tim.
Too. Oh, yeah. There's always that.
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
Soup. Do you have any shows coming up?
Yes.
Where can people see you? Where can people hear you?
There's a new brewery in Colchester, Hop Culture.
Yep.
Really, really great place.
Cato Corner, right?
Yes. We played there yesterday. What a blast. We had so much fun. And we're probably going to go back.
Okay.
We are playing at the Bay Point Club in East Hampton.
Okay.
On August 2nd. The Bay Point Club is this cool, it's their 90th anniversary. It's this cool little clubhouse. It's a little, on Spelman Point.
Okay.
And we're going to do a concert there. We did it last summer. It was probably the most fun we had all last year.
Nice.
It's a really cool place.
All right. What about online? Can people find your stuff there?
Yes, seatofourpantsmusic.com.
Okay.
Our 3 CDs are for sale. We just released our latest CD was released in December, and that entire CD is available for digital download.
Okay.
And any of our originals on the other CDs can be downloaded as well.
Okay.
The covers, we don't have licensing to download. We bought the licensing to put them on CDs, but not to download. So,
right. Are they available on like iTunes?
No,
or
no.
Okay. So just from the website.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we sell our physical CDs. We can mail them to you. But like I said, our latest CD, because so many people don't have CD players anymore.
Yeah, I'm
I know. Okay. But Songs of Rabble and Roots is our most recent CD, and
I
that's.
listened to it today. It's really fantastic.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Did you the song Hands?
I don't remember the song titles.
That's the song. Hands that heal, hands that save, hands that carry you from the cradle to the grave. That song was inspired by my work at the hospital.
Yes.
And that's going to be our first video. It should be coming out soon.
Nice.
We coordinated with a videographer that works at the hospital.
Okay.
Jeff Teitler, in Vision Films. So that should be out really, really, really soon.
Nice.
And a song that Mark wrote also, Wood River Valley, from that CD. We'll have that out.
Okay. And what about for your personal website? You have a place where people can find your dulcimer work too, right?
Yes. CarolynBrodginski.com. So I did release my own CD, solo CD. It's called Little Hands. And a friend of my daughter's, who I was also very close with, my husband and I were very close with, had her first baby 2 years ago, and I just wanted to record all these lullabies and give her the recording. And Jeff said, "Why don't you just make it into a CD and sell it?" So that CD is for sale, and on that I'm singing, playing guitar, mandolin, dulcimer, so some instrumental, some vocals.
Okay.
So on that, and some other the song "Sweet Song of the Mountains," which is my ode to this dulcimer that I wrote a year ago. And there's a publication called Dulcimer Player News, and that's internationally distributed.
All right.
And it's a magazine, articles about the hammered and the mountain dulcimer, and it has a companion CD. So I submitted my song, Sweet Song of the Mountains, Dulcimer's Sweet Song.
Yeah.
And they included it.
Oh, wow.
I am hearing from people all over the country.
Oh, that's got to be great.
And people saying, it reminded me of sitting on the porch at my grandmother's. People want the tab for the song. So it's been really exciting. So,
that's
and
awesome.
that song, the song is right. You could listen to it right off my website.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So yeah, so a lot of cool stuff.
Well, thank you so much for sitting and speaking with me.
Yeah,
this
thanks
has really
for
been
coming
great.
out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another huge thank you to Carolyn Brodginski for being so generous with her talent and sharing her story. Now be sure to visit carolynbrodginski.com. That's CarolynBrodginski.com to learn more about the dulcimer and to hear even more of her music. You can also visit seatofourpantsmusic.com to hear the full band, download their music, and order any of their CDs. And be sure to keep an eye out for Soup playing in your area. Thank you to everyone for listening and supporting Table to Stage. I really do love being able to speak with such talented and interesting people and to be able to bring their stories and experiences to wider audiences. If you want to help make sure that more people hear from these artists and creators, leave a rating and a review of the show is a great way to do that. You can also tell your friends about the artists you've heard on the show. And if you have a question or comment for me, you can send those directly to tabletostage@gmail.com. And be sure to follow along on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep creating.